In just a few days, one of the largest wealth transfers in North American history is about to take place. It's not a crash, but it's a plan to flood billions of dollars in the stock market. And this is a market event that will create millionaires for those positioned correctly, and for those who aren't, it will simply destroy their account. The problem is 90% of people don't even know that it's coming behind all of the different news that we see. In this video, I'm going to teach you everything you need to know about Trump's plan to flood the market, and at the end of the video I'll share my exact game plan on exactly what I'm doing to benefit from this event. Now remember, all trading is defined to be risky. This is not financial advice. I'm simply sharing what I'll personally be doing during this time, and this is for educational purposes. Now with this being said, this is one of my long-term portfolios that I want to share on this channel. This is a portfolio that I want to take to $10 million this year as well, and this one right now, just this year alone, because we started January 1st, this is up about $289,000, and you can see if I refresh the screen here as well, this is a regulated broker with about $289,000 in the last 16 days using a simple swing trading strategy, which I will explain in this video. And make sure to subscribe to stay tuned with more updates on the market as well. Okay, so what is Trump's plan to flood the market? Well, Trump's plan is to release the largest tax refund season of all time. This is something that he has recently talked about. As 2026 tax season approaches, Donald Trump is promising the biggest tax refund due to his 2025 Big Beautiful Bill plan. Now we're going to talk a little bit more about this in this video, but essentially what he's planning to do is next spring, he wants to have the largest tax refund season of all time. And we've seen Trump promise things like this before. However, this one is actually backed by other members in parliament, and this is why this is looking extremely promising, especially for the markets. Now, this is only happening because of the one Big Beautiful Bill is what he calls it. He signed July 4th, 2025. This bill is very important to all investors and traders. You need to learn and know about this to actually understand how to position yourself properly in the market. So what does this consist of? Well, essentially the main thing you need to understand is we have $100 billion promise. During the biggest tax refund in history, what Trump wants to do is deploy $100 to $150 billion extra refunds to the average American. Now, this can be between $1,000 to $2,000 per household. And what this means per person is the average tax refund will increase by about $1,000. And most of the benefits or the biggest increases will happen to the middle and upper income households. Now, this is a very, very important note that this will happen for middle and upper income households. Remember this point for later on in this video when I explain why this is going to be very beneficial. Now, this refund that Trump wants to do is going to be an extra $100 billion. But in each of the past 2 years, more than 100 million taxpayers have received refunds averaging around $3,000. Now, this totals up to over $300 billion in each tax year. Recent analysis now suggests that this year it's going to be $100 billion higher. This once again means that the average American will be getting around $1,000 more per refund. Now, at this point of the video, you should be getting deja vu. Do you remember the last time the average American was giving an extra $1,000 by the government? If you answered during 2021, you're correct. The stimulus package in 2021 was worth $867 billion just to payments for the average American. Now, this is a very, very important note to make. This was a stimulus package. Of course, this time this is a tax refund. So we're not printing more money. However, we're putting more money back into the average American's pockets from the work that they have already done. So it is a little bit different, but just keep this number in mind that $800 billion was given during the stimulus package of 2021. And during this time in America, the average adult got about $1,200. Now, this $1,200 in 2021 was a huge boost to the economy. This helped many Americans and did help boost the economy as well. But why is this important? Why am I talking about the stimulus package from 2021 and the tax refunds for 2025 and 2026? Well, in 2021, after we got that stimulus check, we had the most explosive tech rally in modern history. This stock right here is the QQQ. Now, if you don't know what the QQQ is, it holds the biggest tech names. And because of this, you can see from where the stock market crashed before the stimulus, and then you can see right after we got that stimulus check what happened? We had one of the biggest tech rallies. This resulted in about 104% on QQQ, along with SPY as well. This was one of the biggest rallies in modern history simply due to the amount of volume coming into the markets. And on top of that, because the QQQ and the NASDAQ surged, in 2020, we went up by 49%, in 2021, 28%, which is about 76% in just 2 years. Along with that, the FANG stocks, which are the top tech stocks such as Apple, Amazon, Tesla, and Nvidia, you can see how they exploded as well. Apple 82%, Tesla 394%, Nvidia 87%, and Amazon 79%. And remember, these are just the underlying stock. This is simply if you bought shares in the stock, you would have been able to capitalize on these moves. This is not even suggesting the type of moves that the option contracts on these stocks had, which was thousands of percent. And here's the thing, there's something that Wall Street does not want you to know about the 2021 crash and how this correlates to the new tax refund strategy that Trump is adding. And that is from the $800 billion that the US government distributed in stimulus payments to the actual US citizens, $100 billion of that went into the stock market. Now, remember, this is directly correlated. So $100 billion of the $814 billion went directly into the stock market. However, you have to remember, this is the money that directly went into the stock market. This is not the indirect number as well, such as crypto or offshore accounts. We don't even know how much money truly went into the market, but directly, and what can be calculated, is $100 billion of the $814 billion went straight into the stock market from those stimulant payments. So let's do a little bit of math here. Right now with refunds, and remember, this is not a stimulant, Trump's new policy, we're about to get around $400 to $500 billion in refunds for American citizens. Now, during the stimulus package, we had about $800 billion deployed into the economy, which from that, $100 billion went into the stock market. So about 12% of the total money that was received from the stimulus checks went into the stock market. If we are being conservative, and this is me being extremely conservative and lowballing this, let's say 10%, once again, to be conservative, because this is still not even the indirect money. Remember, this is just the direct correlation that we know. We can project $40 billion to be entering into the stock market during the tax refund season. And this amount of money should help aid the economy and show returns in the market as well as more volume is coming in. So now that you understand what the policy is, how can we position ourselves to benefit from this? Well, let me show you some of the stocks that I've been focusing in on for my personal trading and how I plan to swing trade and position trade them through 2026. Okay, so first we need to understand what the market is actually doing. As we can see, SPY, this holds the top 500 companies. We are actually reaching all-time highs, and 700 is in play on SPY. So we can once again see we're at all-time highs on SPY, which means overall the economy has been pushing up very, very nicely. The same thing with QQQ. This holds the tech stocks. In terms of the tech stocks, we can also see we are consolidating right below all-time highs. This is once again, I'm on the daily time frame, and you can see that this market is continuously pushing up and is still aggressive. Some of the names that I'm interested in for dips, we can see that Apple has earnings in about 11 days. So in 11 days, Apple will have earnings, and typically you can see every time Apple has earnings, you either have a big move to the downside or a big move to the upside. So the volatility always comes a little bit after earnings. For myself personally on Apple, there are two levels of demand that I am going to be focusing on for this earnings season within the next 11 days. This will be this $248 buy zone. So if Apple comes near this area, I will be looking to take a position near this, but remember, this is only after the earnings are done, or this $228 buy zone. These are both great ads for Apple. However, you need to remember, we want to wait for earnings. Once Apple does dip into any of these areas, we are going to look for buyers or some demand to start stepping in, showing some green candles on the daily time frame, and this will be a great swing trade back up into this all-time highs level. And of course, 300s on Apple is in play in 2026, but we have to remember we need to wait for these buy zones. And remember, whenever I enter a trade in real time. I always talk about it within the accelerator, and that's where I make sure all of my live trades are given beforehand with the proper plan. Tesla is another name that I'm going to be focusing on. If you've been following me for a little while, you actually know I opened up a massive Tesla position for over $2 million near these April lows. And from here, we can see that we've had a very nice move back up into all-time highs. I did offload some of my position into that all-time highs level. And now my next buy criteria on Tesla is going to be back into this 360 buy zone. If Tesla can come back into this area and look for continuation back to the upside, this is something I'm going to be very interested in. And remember, Tesla has earnings in 10 days. So make sure to keep an eye on Tesla within the next 10 days. If we can get a dip on Tesla, you can see every time Tesla has earnings as well, the volatility comes after the earnings. However, for most names right now, I am going to be more bullish with the news I presented to you in the beginning of this video. And now some of the names that I'm looking at for more of a short-term look. So both of those names for Apple and Tesla are a little bit longer-term looks. Now let's talk about some names that are actually looking to be played this week alone, potentially as a swing position. Here we have NVIDIA. Now, the thing with NVIDIA is it's a semiconductor. So is all the other names that I'm going to talk about today, which is AMD, SNDK, and MU. The semiconductor market has been extremely bullish in the last couple of weeks. And this is something that we want to capitalize on. Because of this, we can see that NVIDIA has earnings in 40 days, so we don't have to worry about NVIDIA earnings per se. What I would be looking for a swing position on NVIDIA is going to be a break back above this 193.57 level. If NVIDIA can get above 193.57, and only if it can get above 193.57, I would be looking for a break and retest of this daily time frame, looking for continuation to my profit targets, which would be the 200 whole psychological number, 205, and of course, all-time highs on NVIDIA, which is around 212.25. Remember, this is going to be more of a swing position. So when I do enter this in real time, make sure to either stay tuned with the accelerator, or you can also make sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter, where I also talk about my picks as well. Another name which looks very good as well is AMD. Now, AMD, you can see actually gapped up in October. It has never filled that gap again on the daily time frame, and buyers are stepping up very aggressively. This last week has had a lot of volatility on AMD. We are near a resistance level, which we are trying to currently break right now. We have earnings in 16 days. What I would be interested on AMD is only if we break above this high from Thursday, January 15th. If we can break above, retest, and look for continuation, the key levels I would be looking at for scale points would be around that 250 area, and then all-time highs on AMD. However, this one also looks good because the semiconductors are, of course, doing really well in the overall markets. And then we have SNDK. Now, SNDK is not a name that I want to primarily swing trade aggressively right now. This one I do believe needs a little bit more of a pullback, because we can see that this name has pushed up very, very aggressively. And if you were able to capture that move, that has been a fantastic move for us. However, we do have earnings in 11 days. We do need some sort of pullback. So I would be waiting for a pullback before I look to go long on SNDK. This pullback would have to happen near that 280 area, and I would only look to add SNDK after the earnings are done. Finally, another name that I want you to focus on is MU. Now, this is a name that has been pushing up very aggressively, similar to SNDK. However, this one, once again, needs a pullback. I would not be interested in SNDK anywhere above 300s. This needs to pull back into that 300 area for me to be interested. However, this is something that you want to keep on your radar whenever you can see a pullback with strong buyers stepping in near our demand areas that I talked about in this video. That's something you also want to keep in mind when you are looking for positions in the upcoming weeks. So I hope this market update helped you. If you want more videos like this, make sure to leave this a like. If you have any questions, put them in the comments down below. Make sure to subscribe to this channel, because I'm on my journey to make 10 million trading this year. And I am showing you my full journey every single day transparently. And I'll see you guys in the next video.